Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. It's go time! Welcome. It is Transformational Tip Tuesday, and I'm pretty darn excited about today. You guys know Mel Robbins, of course, right? Everyone knows Mel Robbins. She had a big book called 5-Second Rule, and I, like the rest of America, read it. And of course, I fell in love with Mel. I thought she's just right on the money. And this 5-4-3-2-1 business, good stuff. Well, I thought I would take it because one of her quotes that I absolutely dig, love, etc., and say absolutely we are sisters on this one is motivation is garbage. And it's funny because I've been saying that one for years. So I just thought, I'm gonna just let's just talk about that today. I have done that. I've done a lot of these things and incorporated a lot of these things. So I mean, this is not brand new stuff that Mel just kind of came up with. It's just a conglomerate, shall we say. We got a lot of people here in the house today, and I just want to recognize each and every one of you and say thank you, because you showing up to me tells me something about who you are. And I appreciate that because we're in this together, man. If we're gonna nail down what it is that we want in our vibrant lives, we do it together because a rising tide floats all boats, right? Lifts all boats. And there is research that supports, and there's science behind it, that when we as a community are on the same page, we're going to get things done. So you're here and we're doing it. Catherine, Trisha, lovely to have you here. Doris, Alice, Jocelyn, of course, Lizzie, Teresa's here, and Austin's here. Hi, Austin. Glad to have you all here. Kathy is here as well. And there's our Tanya. So I'm really going to enjoy this, and I'm going to, if any of you have 3x5 cards, have them at the ready because I've got some ideas for you. Tammy, hello. I've got some ideas for you, and you can do them live as we're doing this because it's going to be fun. It's an interactive show. You know how I feel about 3x5 cards. I'm just kind of loving them. I just love them. I use them all the time. And sometimes they're for breaking habits. Sometimes they're for reinforcing new habits. And sometimes it's just plain a reminder of who I am and whose I am and why I'm here on purpose and for purpose. And we need those reminders. We get lost in the grift of the day. There's just so much garbage happening so often. So we're going to be talking about that right now. If you want some tea, now's the time to get it. If you buy 2 bags, we're going to throw a third one in for free. You might want a regular tea. You might want a decaf. You might want a combination of the two. It's fine. Go to savingdinner.com/show. That's where you're going to go find that big deal. And we want to get this going through. As a matter of fact, next month, be watching because we are reevaluating our inventory, reevaluating what is it that you want. That's why we asked that survey about, a few weeks ago. What do you want? How can we serve you better? What can we do to give you the stuff in your toolbox so that you are living your most vibrant life? That's our mission. We're all on this and we're all doing it together. So, I'm always listening. If you have an idea, pitch it over this way because we want to know. The other thing that you need to know right now is that we have an Etsy shop. Have you seen our swag? We have full bloom swag, stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else, of course, at our Etsy shop. You can find that at savingdinner.com/Etsy. And it's a little coolish out here right now. I almost put on my full bloom sweatshirt, which has a big bunch of flowers and it's a hoodie. It's one of my favorite things to wear. I always say buy them big so that you can snuggle on in. But you can find those over there in our Etsy store. So go take a peek-see at that. And don't forget, what I'm drinking right now is Crave water. Let me just yes, it's gonna obliterate your cravings like that, but it's also gonna help with muscle soreness. It is also going to help with your gut. Do you know your gut is so easy? Just think about sausage casings. I know some of you are going, "Ew, sausage casing." Right? We all know what it is, but that's the thinness of our the membrane that holds everything together in our gut. That's how thin it is. And how easy is it for just get those itsy bitsy little holes in it? That's what we call a leaky gut. The nutrients go out, the antibodies come in because your body thinks it's being attacked. So if we're going to clean things up, we need to bring in some L-glutamine. That's precisely what Crave Water is L-glutamine. That's the active ingredient in it. And that's going to help heal your gut. When you heal your gut, you're on your way to a healthier immune system, feeling better, less brain fog, less achy joints, and sometimes that's the whole crux of the weight loss resistance. So it's really massively important. You can find Crave Water at savingdinner.com/CW. And right now, I will tell you again, we're really running low. So if you want that this week, order it right now because it's probably going to be gone before tomorrow. It's just going out the door that fast. And one thing else I would like to say is that we are so grateful for you as our customers. We know that if you are purchasing your supplements from us, any order over $300 will receive free shipping as long as it's obviously in the lower 48. That's our way of saying thank you. We appreciate you, and take us up on that. It's easy to do. And also, don't forget that the Hot Melt webinar, the Hot Melt 30 webinar, is easily available at savingdinner.com/30. I'm telling you this because we start, gosh, when are we starting? Like on Friday? 30. THIRTY. That's where the kits are. That's where all the things are. And I want you to know about this because this is the gatekeeper of vibrancy. This is how you open the door to what it is that you want. This puts everything on. This is too hard to, oh, I can start doing this. Oh, this is a habit. And then, oh, at the end of it, this is who I am. This is how I roll. What about that? That's pretty cool, is it not? So anyway, I just gave you a whole bunch of stuff to tell you about what's going on. And there's our Deborah, and Patsy is here. I'm so glad. And I'm sure there's a few more people. If you haven't said hello to me yet, get on down and say hello to your sisters too. I'm excited about today's show. I told you, okay, if you've got, and I wish Mother Hen were here because this is something that she just loves, get your 3x5 cards out. Get them out because we are going to be using them today. And even better if you have a Sharpie, but you can always use your pencil or whatever and then redo them later. Oh, and by the way, this quote of the week, it's a zinger. Put down the pen someone else gave you. No one ever drafted a life living on borrowed ink. You know what? In other words, it's okay to be you. It's preferable to be you. It's the only way you will have a vibrant life is if you fully understand and become your unique self. You're getting a little bit better all the time. Feels good, doesn't it? Feels good. It's just really good. So let's get to it. You got your 3x5s. I've got my notes. I'm ready to rock and roll. So let's do it. So her quote, Mel Robbins, I told you about it at the beginning of the show. Motivation is garbage. It's absolutely the truth. It is garbage because we all have the notion that until we're motivated, we can't get anything done. And this is because, the complexity of the human brain. And the human brain is until we feel something, then we don't have an emotion. Until we have an emotion, then we can't attach to it. And that's not the case. And so this word motivation really is kind of a misnomer. What motivation needs to be is actually what motivation really is momentum, if you want to know the trick. Yeah. And we talked about this yesterday. I think Kathy has a quote up that I said is that motivation, what is it? Something, I can't even remember what I said. Kathy, tell me what I said. Something plus motivation plus momentum equals magic, which is true because motivation and momentum go hand in hand and they create this energy. And that's just magical. That's flow. That's what we want, all of us. Because when we have that, everything just, have you noticed that? There it is. Motivation plus momentum equals magic. Exactly. Have you noticed what that feels like? Have you felt that? There's a freedom that comes with that. There is this, I don't know, productivity that's just beyond anything that you've noticed before. And that's all from that. So when we get our motivation and we get our momentum together, those are two sisters that we want living in our household, right? So let's talk about this anyway. Our action is going to create the momentum, and that momentum, of course, is going to put an arm around motivation. So when we understand that, then we understand exactly what it is that we can do in order to prod motivation, in order to give motivation a little extra. Come on, let's go. Because motivation is a thing. It's just, we just have this mixed up notion of where it comes in the equation, right? And so one of the things that Mel Robbins is so famous for is her 5-4-3-2-1 rule. And she did this with herself as far as getting up. Instead of hitting the snooze button on the clock, she got up. She'd say the alarm would go off and she'd go 5-4-3-2-1, go. That's what she did. And I think that's a fabulous idea. So we can write ourselves a note to remind ourselves. And again, remember what we're doing here. When we're talking about all of this stuff, we are rewiring our brains. If we can create the neural pathway and do it on repeat over and over again, we're going to set this in stone. We're going to get rid of one thing and put in something else that's better, right? I mean, that's the whole idea behind it. So maybe you write yourself a little note, 5-4-3-2-1, to remind yourself that when that thought comes, that procrastination thought, or that thought that you don't have time or whatever, just, call it out. Just say, that's just garbage. That's the old junk that I always tell myself, but it's just not true. Excuse me for the itchy nose. It's not. This is your reminder, 5-4-3-2-1, let's go. Okay. So what this does is it gets your brain into this, we're just going to start anyway, and we don't have time to negotiate. You remember the old thing that we've heard, before, politicians say we don't negotiate with terrorists. Sometimes we're our own terrorist. We start negotiating with ourselves. Well, tomorrow would be really better, wouldn't it? I mean, today's it's kind of an ugly day. It's kind of a gray day. I just don't want to be taking that walk, or whatever promise it was that you made to yourself. We just don't want to be doing that. That's when we start breaking our promises. That's when we learn that we can't trust ourselves. That's when we start thinking, well, it's for everybody else. It's just not for me. And we dismiss ourselves on a regular basis based on all these old beliefs that we have about ourselves is simply not true. If we think about it in the broad context of the fact that we are here on purpose and for purpose, we do have time because we're still taking breath. We do. We just haven't figured out how to move the pieces around so that it makes sense. Maybe you do need to set an alarm. Maybe you do 5-4-3-2-1 need to do something like that. Maybe you need to get out your time block sheet and spend some time with it and just say, this is all work-outable. I can figure this out. I can. I just need to figure out, where does every piece go? And maybe you cut them all up and you just start laying them out and seeing how it is. And maybe you look at it and you say, I'm piling on. It's too much. And maybe you take one thing out and you put something else in. I don't know. But all I know is this, is that we all have to custom design our days to fit our goals. And we need to adjust and make things better for ourselves so that we can make these things happen. That's what I know for sure. And the other thing that I know is number 2 is that we visualize the end and not the beginning. The beginning is tough. We think about it, right? We're thinking about, oh my gosh, that's a cold walk, or that's going to be really hot when I go for my walk. At least say, walking is going to be your thing, right? Well, that's just going to be awful. So if we're going to get hung up on all the potential obstacles, then that's where our mind is going to go, and that's where the loop is going to be on continuously feeding you. That's the thoughts. I can't do it. It's too hot. I don't have time, etc. And the motivation for doing it just goes right out the window. However, if we start visualizing the end result, we're going to find purpose, we're going to find drive, and we're just going to somehow get there. And then if we have to throw down a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, okay, all good, because that's just going to push us out the door. One of the things that I have done for myself, and combining my I am an athlete with I am a pickleball champ, kind of working on all of that, is I've written this one out. I am an athlete winning gold. So what does that mean for me? So I know what this all means, but you have to do something along the same lines, and underneath it, that this is a loaded sentence. It's packed with meaning for you. So for me, what does that mean? That means that I need to train at the table. I write that down any day, every day anyway. Train at the table, train at the gym, train, train, train. And training is a thing that is trying to get you from here to there. There's the gap and gain again, right? And as we're doing that, we're constantly reevaluating. That reevaluation is never about saying to yourself, I'm just not good enough, unless you allow that kind of conversation in it, which is ridiculous because it won't get you to this place. So mine is loaded. I know what this means. And this is my end result. And I know what it feels like to have a gold medal around my neck. I want to do that again. And I know the work that it takes in order to get there. So I'm going to keep doing that. And I have a separate journal for all of that. I've got a journal that has my drills in it that I do on the pickleball court. I have a journal that I use for my workouts, and I track what I eat. I'm trying to get in 140 grams of protein every single day. So I'm tracking that. That's the only thing I track. The rest of it all comes in, and I track my water. Of course I do, because it's easy to get dehydrated it's hot out right now. And then I add in some other things that, of course, the next thing is you're going to break the tasks down. That's how we break down goals, right? It isn't all about what it is that you want to, it isn't all about the end result, but it's also about breaking down that task so you can get that done. Okay. So when you're breaking down that task, maybe you're thinking of, it's like, it's going to the gym or whatever. Oh, it's too much. Yesterday we talked about just 2 minutes or 5 minutes. Just that's all you have to do. But you have to go there. You have to get dressed for it. That's all you have to do. That's the only thing that you have to do if you don't feel like it. So, I have a little sign for myself. All I have to do is 5 minutes, because 5 minutes is nothing. 5 minutes is a piece of cake. 5 minutes. Well, I shouldn't say that, right? 5 minutes is just, it's a couple of bicep curls. That's all that is. It's not going to take me forever and ever, amen. It's going to create instead, I did this. I drove here. I dressed for it. Let's do it. That's what it does. And we know that going in, but if we but again, it's back to the keeping promises to yourself. If we keep that promise, all I need to do is 5 minutes, and then you decide to pack it up and go away, you fulfilled your promise. Good for you. And that's something. And another thing that I have written down, and this is, these are all my little things that I do, because I need to keep reminding myself of who it is that I want to be, who it is that I want to show up for myself and you and my people who work at Saving Dinner and people who are in my community. I want to show up the best that I can. I cannot do that if I'm going to hold myself back. I cannot do that if I'm breaking promises to myself. Another one that I have, it's so easy to keep promises to myself. It's so because on the other hand, the thing that we don't want to be saying is how easily we break our promises to ourselves. So if we can just start saying it's easy to keep promises to myself, of course I keep my promises that I make to all, including myself. This is important because this puts your integrity in line. This is you honoring your own integrity And these little 3x5s are just reminders of who you are. And then I love this one. This is another one that I have written because it lines up with a philosophy that I hold deeply. And that is this. This is what I do because this is who I am. Because what you do is indicative of who you truly are. And what you have inside is always going to come out in your actions, not just your words. And sometimes your words are not in alignment with your actions. And those are eyes that we need to see what's up with. That's important because until we do that, we're going to be living this out of alignment type of a life and then going, but I'm just not motivated. I just can't do this. I just blah, blah, blah. And it's not that. What's underneath it deeply is that there's a disconnect. This is huge, really huge. And if nothing else, you write this 3x5 card out and really meditate on it because it's a big deal. You also need to have routines, habits, rituals. I like the idea of a ritual because a ritual, if you go to a church, rituals are sacred. And if we have morning rituals where we meditate, where we journal, and we just connect with ourselves, we take time to connect with the one who created us. We take the time to just acknowledge the fact that we're here on this earth on purpose and for purpose. Things start to flow. Things start to flow. We live differently. We think differently because that is the prevalent thought, not the other garbage. We don't have time for that, right? We dismiss that. So we develop daily routines that help us to automatically take action, cleaning the toilet, for example, and to start to think about what the next thing is. The next thing is, you know what that does? That bypasses the need for motivation. We don't need motivation to say, we don't, it's, that's like a cattle prod, we don't need like moo. Tanya knows they raise cows. Yes, exactly. Your morning rituals are essential. They are essential because the morning, and connect the dots. These essential rituals that we have in the morning set us up for success for the rest of the day. Who you are is going to show up in what you do, not just what you say. Right? And so this is what we do because this is who we are. And it just, doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it feel good? Because at the end of the day, why are we doing all these procrastination things? And why are we waiting for motivation? And why is all this stuff happening? Because we think it's going to make us feel bad, because we think that the obstacle is too big. We think that we can't handle it. And then we feel worse than before. So my thought is if we can put some of this stuff into action and have it as a visual, we'll start seeing ourselves with a slightly different light and start creating that pathway that we absolutely need. And then there's this thing called an anchor thought. Let's talk about this because we've talked about piggyback habits, but there's a thought that comes with that first, right? So let's just say, for example, here's a scenario. It's your scheduled gym day, right? You're going to the gym. You're going to take Zumba or something. You're going to lift some weights. You're going to whatever it is that you do at your gym, or go take a jazzercise class. Whatever. And every time you think about getting ready, you start feeling exhausted. You start feeling like, it's just, it'd be better tomorrow. If I do this, I just don't think I'm going to have a very good workout. So what's the point? And we start talking ourselves out of it. We start dismissing the promise that we made to ourselves, and we start doing anything else but that. However, if we have an anchor thought that we notice this is what's going on, then we bring out the anchor thought, okay? And here's my anchor thought. I'm going to show you. And notice it's all in caps. I am in control of my actions. Yes, I am. So are you. We're all in control of our actions. Or, you can have something like, a short workout is better than no workout, or of course I can do this, or whatever. But for me, it's about control, because what I've noticed personally is that I'll blame everything else instead of taking personal responsibility I am the one who controls what it is that I do. You know, I'm very blessed to have this, my little home office, even outside here on my deck as it's being all reconstructed, right? I am in control of my own actions and I do get to control my own time. That's the truth. And that is the premise that I have to be working from. And all the other stuff is just a construct that I bring in so that I don't have to follow through. That's the truth. It's pretty ugly, isn't it? If I do this, I know you're doing this too. I feel like this is a common thing. And if we're going to get through it and get away from it, then we're going to have things in place to start doing it. So we start with the anchor thought. So here's how you can use it. First of all, you have to recognize that you're having the avoiding thought that you don't want to have. I'm too tired today. I don't think I'll have a good workout. I just don't want to. It'll be better tomorrow, right? Something like that comes along. I'll start tomorrow. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've done that. So what we need to do now is completely interrupt the pattern. I've shown you this before. Like if you have a snack after dinner thing, you start walking toward the kitchen, go into the kitchen and kitchen's closed. This is interrupting that pattern. It's stopping you from doing something that's just going to derail you from all the stuff that you want. So you interrupt it. Maybe you get up and just do a bunch of big arm circles or something, or do like 5 jumping jacks, text your body clutter buddy, whatever. But you interrupt the usual pattern. That's really important. And then this is the place where you insert your anchor thought, because I'm in control of my actions. I am in control of my actions. I am taking personal responsibility for my life in absolutely every single thing that I do. Yeah? That's freedom right there. And it also doesn't take you off the hook. Instead, it puts a little bit of pressure on you to say, yes, I can do this. Yes, I am capable of doing this. And yes, I have scheduled it. And yes, I'm going to go do it. You can do that. And then you just take that small, immediate action. You can put those gym shoes on. You get keys from the car, you put your costume on, whatever it is that you need to do in order to complete the task that you said you were going to do. Your anchor thought is going to get you there. Your anchor thought is telling you who you are. And I love for anchor thoughts to say, I am, because that is a declarative statement of who you are and are becoming, right? It's not fake it till you make it. It's see it till you be it. And you will be it if you keep this up, because we're trying to break the habit of, pooping all over ourselves. Hi, Anne. So that's a big, big, big deal. That's how you use an anchor thought, by the way. And then the next thing is to stop overthinking, is to stop from the overthinking part. Because even with that, we might fall back into the hole of saying, okay, but well, but maybe it would be better tomorrow. I mean, it's been raining today and I don't want to be driving in that rain and all the rest of it. But if you take that action, that's why you take the immediate action. You're not going to find yourself, talking yourself out of it again. Remember, this can be part of the loop too, but you need to let this be the strongest part of it. And then don't forget, we also have the ability to have an accountability partner. We call them body clutter buddies. Are you using that? Are you saying that you want one? Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody to say, just like, I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to it. I have somebody who's my accountability partner, and she always says to me, I'm going to hold you to it, Leanne. I said, okay, that's fine. I check in with her. I let her know what's up. Because if I'm going to be doing the things that I say that I want to do, then there's action that needs to go behind them, or it's useless. It's just a bunch of lip service. Let's cut it out. Then the other thing we have to do is prioritize. We all have to-do lists. This is when we make the to-do list. What is the most important priority of that day to get those things done? And then list it out. Don't get paralyzed by it, but just start looking at it and start with number 1. I want to knock this off my list. There's nothing better. Your brain loves a check mark. Let me just say, that's signaling that things are done. And the other part about this is the endorphin part. So, like I said, prioritizing a little bit of movement, a little physical movement along with all of this, and just say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And maybe do some arm circles or, like deep breaths or a couple of squats or some jumping, whatever it is that you do, there's a connection with that good, feel good stuff from the endorphins connecting to what it is that you're trying to get done. Why not? We got to use all the tools in our toolbox, right? You think about it. We've had this stuff ingrained for decades. This is not just even years, decades. This is habitual. And just now we're starting to notice it, right? Of course we're starting to notice it. So if we're starting to notice that, then we're going to have to really get on top of it and say, that's enough of that. And then last but not least, use positive affirmations. Because I'm going to tell you, you know what we do? We do this. We say, but I'm just not motivated. Do you see the big red X through it? When you start saying, I am not, you're making declarations of and spending all your energy on things that you don't want. Why? How? I mean, it's asinine. It does nothing. But if we start saying, of course I can show up at the gym. Of course I can make this happen. Of course I have this in my toolbox. Of course I'm going to follow through on this. Of course I'm going to keep the promises to myself that I've made. Then things will shift. It's not one and done. It's on repeat. This is why we have our little stack of 3x5 cards. So 3x5s, go get them. Start making them. Where is your place of falling down? We all have it, but we have the opportunity to understand that motivation is truly garbage. That all we really need is motivation with momentum, because that momentum creates the motivation. They feed one another, and then we get the magic. And the magic is the flow that we can experience and the change that we want. Because that's why we're doing this in the first place, right? We're not doing it so we can become a bunch of cheerleaders. I don't know about you, but at my age, I'm not really interested in cheerleading anymore. What I am interested, though, in is more vibrancy. More and more and more. Yes, please. All righty, that's all I have for you today. And let me just tell you, tomorrow we're going to get on it again. There'll be a lot more about this and about how we can get to that next level, because that's what we're trying to do here. And don't forget, Hot Melt 30 starts on Friday. We're going to make some big stuff happen. Big stuff happen. I want you to be a part of it. Find the announcements at savingdinner.com/announcements and be ready to start with us on Friday, because it's going to be a journey of epic proportion. I appreciate you all. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.